send data to Max and get data from Max. I've wanted a whole crowd of people to simultaneously be able to send messages from my website to Max for as long as I can remember, and I finally figured out how. So I'm going to show you how to get up and running doing this in just a couple of minutes using files I've hosted on GitHub. Links are in the description below. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how it all works so you can customize the code for your own unique projects. So let's dive in. We need a way for one person to send a message and have something send that message out to lots of people. We need a server. This is all the code you need to create a server and turn it on. We just import nodes built-in HTTP. I want this to make sense whether you know JavaScript or not, so let me back up a bit. The most elegant solution I have found to send data to Max from any device anywhere in the world is to use WebSockets, which is what chat apps use. WebSocket requires two fundamental parts: a client JavaScript program that someone's browser begins running when they go to a specific URL, and there can be hundreds of instances of this client JavaScript program running on devices all over the world, all connected to a single instance of a server JavaScript program that basically stays running all the time in the cloud. I'll be showing you how to run this on glitch.com. So just by going to a specific URL, an instance of the client JavaScript program starts running in someone's browser, which first connects to the server JavaScript program. Then when someone sends a message to the server JavaScript program, it delivers a message to all the client JavaScript programs that are currently connected to it, including your computer running Max, because it's just running a version of the client JavaScript program. So browsers run JavaScript, and Node.js is just a thing that can run JavaScript on a server and in Max when you use the node script object. Okay, let's go back to talking about creating a server on glitch.com. We just import Node's built-in HTTP module, which allows Node to transfer data over the hypertext transfer protocol. Then we create the server and turn it on by making it listen. We'll use a global variable to set the port number, so Glitch can use whatever port number it wants to use. We can see in Glitch's console that it's working, but it isn't really doing anything yet. So our next step is to add code to turn it into a WebSocket server. We'll add the socket.io library because it makes things easy and clean. The main idea behind socket.io is that you can send and receive any events you want along with any data you want. So let's visualize an event as an envelope, the kind you'd send a letter in the mail. The envelope has a name on it and a message inside it. Let's say a client sends an event named color that contains the data of the string green. The server gets this event, and the event handler with the same name as the event handles the event. In this case, it then sends the event out to everyone that's connected to itself. The client side is a lot like the server side in that it can also have a lot of different event handlers. So its event handler that is programmed to handle events named color will handle the color event it just received by, in this case, turning the background of the web page to green. Now, when a computer running Max receives this event, a version of the client JavaScript program that the NodeScript object is running receives the event. Within that JavaScript program, an event handler named color can handle the event, in this case, by using Node for Max's API to send the event out the NodeScript object. Then you can do whatever you want with it within Max, like strip away the message within the event by using the route object. Okay, I bet you're ready to try this yourself. So in the next 2 minutes, I'll show you how to set up all the files. Links are in the description below. And you'll be sending messages from your phone to Max in just a few minutes. After that, I'll explain in more detail how the code works so you can better customize the code for your needs. First, download the entire repository from GitHub, start a new glitch project, and delete all the default files. Drag in the files from the web server folder. Glitch will automatically install the correct packages for the socket.io library as specified in the package.json file. Note that you have to host these files somewhere that allows for WebSockets and supports full stack apps. Your web server is up and running. Let's go on to the web client. You can host these files anywhere in the cloud that will run static sites. Create a basic blank space on W3Schools. Delete all the default files just like you did in Glitch. Upload all the files in the web client folder. Edit the web client JavaScript file with the URL of your Glitch server. That's it, you're done with the web client. Let's go on to Max. With that Glitch project title still in your clipboard, open up the Max client patch and double click on the NodeScript object so you can edit the web client JavaScript file, pasting in the title of your Glitch project. Don't forget to press save. Now click on the script npm install message within the Max patch to install the socket.io client library dependencies found in the package.json file. This will create a node modules folder. The next time you open this Max patch, you don't need to click on this script npm install message. Click on the script start message to run the JavaScript file held by the NodeScript object. Now you're ready to navigate to the domain where you installed the web client and send data to Max and get data from Max. Let's go a little bit deeper into the details of how this works. Now these client files are very similar. They both need access to the socket.io client library. For Max, use common.js import require. For the browser, we'll get the socket.io client library from socket.io's CDN in the header of our index.html file, where we'll also link to the JavaScript file. Now on both, we've already edited the Glitch server URL because the server can be hosted in a different place than the client, which is what we're doing. We're hosting the server on Glitch and the clients on W3Schools and in Max. On both, we initialize socket.io by passing it that Glitch server URL. And on both, the connect event is fired upon connection to the server, and a unique socket ID is generated by the server for each client connection. And we'll make use of that later. So now the client can send and receive events. Okay, so the only difference in our Max client and our web client JavaScript files is specifically how they handle sending and receiving. So let's look at the web client first to really understand this. We use the onClick event handler to listen for when the button in our index.html file with an ID send bang is clicked. And when it's clicked, our anonymous function is run, which sends or emits the bang event to the server. Now the server receives the events, and in this case, broadcasts it to all connected socket clients except the client who sent the event. Clients receive this particular event from the server by their event handler listening for events named bang. When the handler receives the bang event, it runs an anonymous function that changes the background color of the button with ID receive bang by using the getElementById method. Then, in order to make it appear to only momentarily blink green, we've used the setTimeout method, setting the background color to nothing after 100 milliseconds. So how does this work in Max? Well, when Max receives the bang event from the server, we use the Max API to simply send a bang out of the NodeScript outlet. The way you send a bang from Max is that you send a bang into Node's script, and JavaScript simply sees it as the string bang. So we have an event handler listening for an event named bang. Note, the Max API also has the capability to listen specifically for different types of messages. Later, we'll listen specifically for dictionaries that are sent into the Node script object. I do want to clarify that this bang event is kind of a unique event in that it's like an envelope labeled with the name bang that has nothing in it. So if you get that envelope, you know you've received a bang. There's no need for an accompanying message or data. When our event handler receives that bang event, it runs an anonymous function that sends or emits the bang event to the server, which we know the server receives and in turn sends or broadcasts out to all connected socket clients except for the client that sent it. Now let's move on to how a simple chat works. To send a message from the browser, we add a text input box and a button to the index.html file that, when clicked, fires the onClick event in the web-client JavaScript file. This specifically selects the text input box, sends whatever has been typed into it to our web server on Glitch as an event named message containing the message string, and then clears out the input box so that the user can type more messages. When the server gets the message event, it just sends it to all connected clients. In this case, even back to the client that sent it. When a web client receives that message event from the server, its message event handler selects the div with ID chat message and adds a new line of HTML to that div using the DOM element inner HTML and template literals, which are delimited with backticks. When Max receives that message event from the server, its message event handler runs a function that uses the Max API to send the message out of the Node script object with a new name of from server, so we can use the route object to separate the message from its name and from other events like bangs sent out of the Node script object. To send a message from Max, we send the chat text prepended with the identifier message into the Node script object. Then the Max API handler listening for events labeled message sends the message to the web server on Glitch, just like the web client. Now let's move on to how objects work. JavaScript objects are awesome. They are basically another type of variable, but they can contain a lot of different values written as key value pairs, often referred to as properties with property values. Here is the object we'll be sending from the browser. It's declared as a constant variable, has curly brackets, and has a list of key value pairs comma delimited, with each key and value separated by a colon. The first property is the client's ID, which is a unique random 20-character ID given to the client by the server when the client first connects to the server. The next property is color. I thought if each client had a unique color, it would be easier to quickly identify who a message came from. The next property is message, with the chat message typed in the input box as its value. The last property is from Max, which is a binary value showing if the message came from Max or not. We'll see how this is utilized in a bit. So when someone connects to the server, a random ID and random RGB values are generated and assigned to variables. So when the person types a message and presses the send button, all those values get assigned to properties in a JavaScript object that is then sent to the server in the same way we sent a single string in the simple chat project, like sending an envelope labeled message containing a JavaScript object. To make sending and receiving objects work, literally nothing has to change in our web server code. The same code works whether you send an event containing just a string or an event containing a JavaScript object. Note, Socket.io converts JavaScript objects behind the scenes to JSON when they are sent, then converts them back to JavaScript objects when received. When a web client receives that message event from the server, its message event handler plugs values from the JavaScript object into HTML code using template literals. And the HTML code is posted to the browser using inner HTML, the same DOM element we used for the simple chat project. Okay, to be a bit more specific, I've used object dot notation to get values from specific properties in the object. If the message is from Max, a Cycling74 logo will display. If the message is not from Max, the client's unique color will display. Also, only 3 characters of the client's ID are displayed using the JavaScript substring method. The code at the bottom of the web client JavaScript file just enables you to press the enter key to trigger the pressing of the send button when the cursor is in the text input box. I just thought that was more how we are used to using chat services. Okay, let's talk about how Max handles receiving the event from the server. Just like the simple chat project example, its message event handler runs a function that uses the Max API to send the object out of Node script prepended with from server. Note that Max API always converts JavaScript objects to dictionaries when sending them out of Node script. So the dictionary prepended with from server is routed to be unpacked by going through the route object. Once unpacked, we see the data presented similarly to how it is in the browser. To send a message from Max, we have to pack everything into a dictionary and send that dictionary into Node script. We get Max's ID from Node script when we start the script. We also randomly generate RGB color values when the script is started. The dictionary is set to be sent to Node script when dict pack receives a chat message from TextEdit. What's cool is that we can use the Max API to listen specifically for dictionaries. So when a dictionary enters Node script, this handler converts the dictionary to a JavaScript object, then sends the event to the server we hosted on Glitch. Wow, we've covered a lot of content in this video. If you make something based on what you've learned, or if you have a question, please post a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to help if I can. All right, that's all I've got for now. Catch you later.